The movie opens with a little girl playing in the street by herself. Then, all of a sudden, she can't find anyone. She calls out for her mom and dad, but there is no answer. That's when the ground starts to shake and there is an explosion from afar. We find some contestants introducing themselves for a reality show. John, an expeditionary who thinks there is nothing humans can't adapt to. Sarah, a medic, thinks she's going to be the winner. Emma, a psychiatrist, is also ready. Scott, a motivational speaker, thinks we attract what we think. Christoph, an engineer, thinks technology is the way to win. Carol, a botanist, thinks the Earth can help her win. Amelia, the host, stands in front of the 8 contestants as she tells the camera. The last person to give up on the competition is going to be the winner. This is a survival competition where the players are sent to so they can survive the most and win. They can quit by using the radio or an extraction point on the island. They'll be taken to different parts of the island and the games will begin. Sarah is trying and failing to start a fire, so she opens up her camera and tells the audience about how much harder this is than it looks on TV. Christoph, with his axes near the lake, he goes into the trees. John tells the camera about finding a spot to rest and be safe from danger. He seems happy with his choice. A mysterious spaceship is hovering above Earth and sends a lander that crashes on the ground. Inside, 2 human-looking beings are standing on opposite sides of an odd-looking machine. Back on the island, Liam is looking over everything from a hill with his bow and arrow. Christoph is gathering branches for some purpose, while Emma is walking through the green in awe of the view. Karen, on the other hand, is in the forest, telling the camera how overwhelming the palace makes her feel. One of those aliens, on the other hand, is walking on a barren wasteland, like Earth is almost empty. Christoph boasts about picking the axe for his item. Meanwhile, Scott sees the beautiful view and yells to the hills. During this, Paul has a pensive look on his face. He then throws away the radio into the ocean. Liam is now running through the forest like he's hunting something. Carol is walking through when she finds some flowers, but as she walks away, they glitch like a simulation. Meanwhile, the alien is looking across a destroyed city. It has no signs of life at all, like a war has been happening there. It's nighttime, and Emma brought a plastic cloth as her item, so she is using it to sleep. Leon has made a fire and is making a steak out of a thick branch. The next morning, Scott is meditating on the beach. He tells the camera about how wonderful it is to be at one with nature, to be grateful for things people take for granted. And then he walks into the water for a swim. Paul then smashes his camera on a rock before walking away. Then it disappears glitching like the flower. Sarah wakes up groggy and pulls out the camera to show everyone that she managed to get a fire going. After showing her sleeping area, she tells the camera that she made snail stew for her dinner. Then, as she was walking on rocks, she slipped and fell. Things have turned bad for Sarah. She is badly hurt, as she is a medic. She knows that her leg is now broken so she can't continue, but when she pressed the radio to quit, she glitches out and lays still. Sarah is dead. Scott is trying to make a net to catch fish when he sees Liam approaching. He tries saying hello, but Liam has other intentions. He pulls out an arrow. Scott is still trying to be friendly until Liam chases him and tries to shoot him with the arrow. Scott had to run into the forest. Liam is right behind him trying to shoot him down. Scott finally finds a hiding spot and Liam walks right by him without noticing. Christoph tells the camera that he has constructed a raft using branches to make it easier to catch fish. Carol is also on the camera and she's found Paul, who has started a fire and is cooking with the fire. He stops her abruptly and pulls her to hide. She asks from what, and he says something is coming and they should hide. He swings a large stick and hits Scott. Carol asks if he's okay, but Paul is concerned about the man chasing Scott. Paul is still worried that Liam has followed Scott, but Scott insists that he has lost Liam. Paul then tells them they have to leave now because it's not safe, but he doesn't tell them the real reason. Emma is hungry to a point where she will eat absolutely anything. That's when she spots someone, another contestant, but as soon as she goes over, she sees Sarah's body and finds her camera. Immediately, she runs away and hides under a tree. The sun goes down and Carol is asking Scott about why Liam might be chasing him, but Scott dismisses her suspicions of murder because no one would do it on live TV. They even have a laugh about some stories about their past. Carol then wakes up in an empty white room, but it felt like a dream as she's still in the woods. Scott brings some firewood, but Carol is still shaken from her dream. They get startled by Paul shouting at them to run. They want an explanation until an arrow hits a tree next to them, so they take off into the woods. Liam is right behind them with his bow and arrow. They fall down a hill and manage to get away and find Christoph. They scream at Paul to tell them what's going on, and he tells them Liam is too dangerous. Christoph is confused by what's going on, so he wants to radio to to the control and tell them what's going on, but Paul tell him to not do it. Paul then runs up the hill saying they need to get to high ground and everyone follows. Liam is pissed that he's lost them. Christoph is still saying they should call it in to Carol and they think he's just there to scare them for the show's entertainment value. The group makes their way into the forest and find Emma sitting on the ground. She is crying hysterically as they surround her. They ask her why she has someone else's backpack and she's as confused as they are. Carol calms her down and Scott looks at the camera footage of Sarah. Christoph is still trying to call for help when Emma stops him. Something happens if they use the radio and Scott confirms it while he showed them the footage of Sarah as she pressed the button. John found spring water and he wants to boil it to make drinking water with his item, a canteen. Liam is stalking him from the trees. When Carol wakes up, all of them are sleeping in a line. She gets up and wanders around the forest. She finds some pretty leaves and sits next to them. She is talking to the plants when she hears a noise behind her. Liam shows up, but he seems calm this time. He mentions wanting the truth. He calls himself the Purge, but he doesn't want to kill her or anyone. He is just giving them the signal, and they are the ones doing the killing, but he believes they could have helped instead. He still doesn't tell her who they are. She walks with Liam to the campsite. Then suddenly, Paul jumps on Liam with a knife at his neck, but Liam manages to get out of the hold. The rest of the group try to take down Liam, but he beats them all until they work together and overpower him, but not before he knocks out Carol. Carol wakes up in a dark room with an orb in her hand. She goes out the door and finds the mysterious room full of scans. Eventually, she finds a recording of a ship captain talking about having memories wiped and how the world was ruined by humans. The group is carrying Carol in a stretcher until she wakes up. She is confused about what's happening to her as they walk along a path. They then find John impaled on a wooden stake, but they keep walking in the rain. Paul goes out to find food and Carol goes with him. Liam wakes up in a ditch. He feels hurt but climbs out. Carol asks Paul what's really going on. He's still very secretive, but she's now fed up with him. She tells him about her dreams and he's shocked that she remembered it. He tries to deflect, but she is done with that, so he tells her everything. This is a selection process by aliens. Life on Earth is over because of nuclear wars and the best people are being selected to save the human species somewhere else. Paul was a radio astronomer who found the alien signal first. He then tells her this island is not real. It's all a projection into their minds while their bodies are in the ship. Carol then wakes up on the ship again. This time, she's not alone. The alien being is there as well. She asks what he is, but he only says he's a collector and takes her sphere. She's then transported into a white room. He shows her everything that caused the world to become inhabitable. Carol wakes up and they are around a campfire. She asks for Paul, and he's told them about the whole thing, but they don't believe him. Christoph is done with this, but Emma tries to analyze it using her speciality. Everyone is silent until Christoph gets up, and everyone harps on to Paul about his alien story. They ask Paul about his story, and he tells them the aliens sent spheres so humans can access the selection. Liam worked with Paul, and they found a way to trick the spheres. But Paul still doesn't know how Carol can go back and forth like that. In the morning, Christoph shouts to warn the group about Liam. Then, Liam charges in with a sharp branch chasing them down the forest. Carol freezes looking for Paul, who pulls her into the bushes. He tells her to head to the top of the mountain to the extraction point. He then tells her he made a vow to protect her. Paul is her husband. The rest of the group get to an open field when Carol catches up to them. But Liam hit Christoph with his stake and the rest ran away. Paul comes in and hits Liam with an arrow. Liam pulls out the arrow. Liam is mad about losing his brother to the aliens. Now he wants to sabotage the ship. Paul still believes humans have already lost their chance to save Earth, so they end up fighting. The rest run to get to the extraction point. Liam wins and tells Paul he'll get a bomb on the ship before he kills Paul. The group run through the forest as Liam follows. Emma fell over and they try to carry her, but she wants to hide and they must keep going. Scott tries to convince her, but Liam is already here. He finds Emma on the ground and asks her about the others. She says they left, her ankle is twisted, Emma got Liam to fall for the trap, and Scott got Liam's stake. Liam holds Emma hostage until she sacrifices herself with the radio. Scott stays with Liam as Carol goes to the extraction point. Scott looks at Emma's body. He now believes Paul's story. Liam then tells him about the extraction point being fake. Paul made it up to save his wife Carol. Carol runs up the hill as Liam admitted to the greed of mankind that ended up destroying the world. Liam wants to go out on his own terms, so he asks Scott to kill him. Scott stabs Liam with the wooden stake and uses the radio on himself. The sphere then appears to Carol. She touches it and is transported to the ship. The alien guides her towards the ship and she finds other selected people there, and they all look out the window onto Earth as the ship takes off, taking them to a new beginning.